Hello friends. Hello friends. Welcome back to the platform of Feedback IS. We have been doing CSAT classes. We discussed percentages yesterday. We started with the topic percentages, and it has huge application in number systems, and many questions have come from this topic. And we solved some questions. We understood the concept and we solved some questions. As I said, percentage equal to 1 upon 100, right? This is the fundamental basic of percentages, that percent equals to 1 upon 100. You need to remember this. So we were discussing various types of questions asked in the percentage section or the percentage topic. So let's discuss another question. Let me write the question here. I'm writing the question because I want you to focus on the language of the question. The purpose of writing the question on the board, otherwise I would have taken the slide of the questions and would have solved it. But my way of make you understand that you focus on the language. The way I write, I will also will give emphasis on the important aspects of the questions which you need to focus upon, right? So let me write the question. As per agreement, another question. As per agreement, and I will be solving questions from the perspective of a student only, so that you can have a better understanding of the concept, that how to read the question and how to create the logics, right? As per agreement with a bank, a businessman had to refund a loan in some equal installments without interest. Without interest. As per agreement with a bank, a businessman had to refund a loan in some equal installments without interest. The language of the question is that you have to return the loan without the interest. So no interest will be paid in refund of the loan. A businessman has taken a loan from the bank, and that has to be returned but without the interest. After paying 18 installments he found that 60% of his loan 60% of his loan 60% of his loan was refunded after paying 18 installments, and installments are the equal installments without interest. So the size of the installment is the same. 18 installments have been paid, and he found that 60% of his loan was refunded. So we know that 18 installments is equal to 60%. So we have to bring 18 to that number which make it 100%. So in that way we will got that how many installments are required to pay 100% of the loan. But still we don't know what is the amount of loan. How many installments were there in the agreement? How many installments were there in the agreement, right? So the question is very simple. We have to find out that a loan was taken which was to be refunded in installments. We don't know what is the amount of loan, and either the question is not asking about the amount of the loan, and we know that installments, 18 installments already paid, and we don't know how much more installments are required to complete refund of the loan that was taken by the businessman. So we know that this 18 installments is equal to 60%. 60% of the loan. 60% of his loan. 60% of loan. So let's assume that he took a loan of P. He took a loan of rupees P. Suppose P rupees is taken as the loan. So 60%, how much amount is refunded? 0.6 P. What remained? What is remained? We will minus this from P. P minus 0.6 P, that is 0.4 P. This is the first hand information that we got. Now we know that this amount is refunded, and we know that 18 installments have been given. We don't know what is the amount per installment. Amount per installment, we don't know. Let it be X. So 18X, 18 into X equal to 0.6 P. And we know that this amount is right. This is the amount which has been returned, and X number of amount is X. Let it be total installment, that is 18 plus I. So 18 plus I multiply by X equal to P. So we got these two equations, and X and P will be eliminated. So what we do, we will divide these two equations, equation number 1, equation number 2. 18x divided by 18 plus I x 0.6 P divided by P. So x से x कट गया, p से p कट गया, and 6 3s are 18, right? So अब हमें क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करना है. 3 equals to 0.1 18 plus I. This can be written as, यहाँ से डेसिमल चला गया 10, so 30 equals to 18 plus I. So I comes out to be 12. So there you required 12 more, there you required 12 more installments. In total the total installments will be 30. So 30 total installments within the agreement. We know that 18 installments already paid and I comes out to 12. So 12 plus 18 is equal to 30. 30 installments were there in the agreement. It is very simple question, just a question of percentages and equations. You have to calculate in terms of the percentages, and then you just find the two important equations on the basis of which you will get the answer. Here I have taken 3 variables, but 2 variables out of the 3 variables eliminated as p and x. Now only one variable remained, that is the remained installment which are required for us to answer the demand of the question. So the sole objective is to read the question in a way that we are able to understand the demand of the questions and calculate as per the demand only and logically and within the time limit, so that we do not waste our time. This is the important skill which is required to solve the questions within the time frame, right? This is one question that we have solved. Let's see another question. Another question. A and B decide to travel from place X to place Y. Place X to place Y, right? Y by bus. A has rupees 10. A has rupees 10 with him, and he finds that it is 80%, of the bus fare for 2 persons. A and B both traveling from place X to place Y, via bus. A has rupees 10. A has rupees 10 with him, and he finds that it is 80% of the bus fare for 2 persons. Here we got one information that what shall be the price of the bus for 2 persons. अगर A के पास ₹10 है जो कि ऑलमोस्ट दो लोगों के टिकट्स के लिए, बस के टिकट्स के लिए जो किराया चाहिए, ये अमाउंट उसका 80% है. इट मीन्स बस के फेयर के लिए जो अमाउंट आपको चाहिए उसका 80% अगर हम निकालेंगे, दैट विल बी ₹10. दैट विल बी ₹10. दैट इज ₹10. जो 2 टिकट का किराया है, द प्राइस फॉर 2 टिकट्स, 80% ऑफ दैट इज इक्वल टू ₹10. राइट? क्वेश्चन को रीड करते जाना है और उसको डिसाइफर करते जाना है. उसमें जो इंफॉर्मेशन आपको दी है, ये पहली इंफॉर्मेशन है. एक तो ये स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड इंफॉर्मेशन है, A and B traveling from place X to place Y via bus. Very general information, no interpretation is required. This is the first statement which requires interpretation. आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग इस स्टेटमेंट को लेके आपके माइंड में डेवलप होनी चाहिए. It should develop in your mind that what is this statement is saying. Your understanding here must say that the price of 2 tickets and 80% of that price is equal to ₹10. This interpretation must be there in your mind while you are reading this statement, this second statement of the question. Let's continue. What are the other statements? B finds that this is going to be second statement which requires interpretation in your mind. Here the interpretation of the question is started. आपको यहाँ पे ये बात ज़रूर समझनी है कि क्वेश्चन को इंटरप्रेट करना आपके माइंड में बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. अगर आप नहीं करेंगे तो you won't be able to interpret the question as per the demand of the question. The information available in the question, you will not be able to use it. To use that information, you need interpretation of these statements. The questions of CSAT are framed like that. They are not straightforward, they are not difficult. They requires your intelligence. They requires your understanding of the statement. They requires that you have the ability of inference, infer, interpret, that you are able to do that. Right? B finds that he has rupees, B finds that he has ₹3 with him and hands it over to A, and hands it over to A. In this context, see, this is the second statement. This is the first statement which is required to be interpreted. This is the first statement and this is the second statement, right? I'm just doing this exercise for developing your skills of reading the questions. That is very important part. how to segregate the statements which required interpretation or inference or a conclusion, and the statements which are straightforward. We must be able to differentiate them. We must be able to differentiate them. That is the very important skill. Let's continue it. In this context, in this context, which one of the following statements is correct? Which one of the following statements is correct? Right? Statement 1. Now the money A has just enough to buy 2 tickets. Now the money A has just enough to buy 2 tickets. Statement 2. Just enough. Focus on this keyword. Just enough. Right? A still needs rupees 2. A still needs rupees 2 for buying the tickets. Statement 3. After buying the 2 tickets, it still needs. After buying the 2 tickets, after buying the 2 tickets, A will be left with 50 paise. Statement 4. The money A now has is still not sufficient to buy 2 tickets. Right? Still not sufficient. Right? So the question is very straightforward. First interpretation is that the amount that is A is having, let's make it figure wise. The amount A has, that is rupees 10, is equal to 80% of price of 2 tickets. That is fair. That is F-A-R-E, fair. This is first information. This is first you interpret. Second is B finds that B has rupees 3 with him and hands it over to the A, right? So now A has is equal to 10 plus 3, that is 13 rupees. This is the amount now A has. This is another interpretation. You have to bring these written statements, these verbal statements into the mathematical equations. This skills is very much required to convert statements into the mathematical expression so that you can calculate the answers, right? Now A has 13 rupees with him, right? So from the first equation, we know that what shall be the price of the 2 tickets, because 80% of the price of 2 tickets is equal to 10. We assume the price of 2 tickets is equal to P. So here we can calculate P very easily, not a big task. Let's read these statements. When the statements are given, you must also read the statements in context of the question, right? First you interpret the question, that is this part. Once you are done with the interpretation, now come with these statements. Let's understand or decipher the statements. Now the money A has just enough. Just enough, it means that the price of 2 tickets is almost equal to the A has money. After B takes action, B hands over rupees 3 to A. The statement says that the A has just enough money. That means equal to amount. So this is the mental expression, this is the mental activity which must come to your mind when you read such keywords. Deciphering these keywords is important in CSAT paper. If you are not deciphering these keywords, you may assume wrong assumptions. It will give you the correct assumption, which is based on facts, which is based on data that is true, that is correct. So here, after the B hands over 3 rupees to A has now rupees 13. And easily, let's calculate that what is the price of 2 tickets, and then we will read these statements again. Or just let's see the keywords in the statements and decipher their meaning in terms of psychological understanding, that what we understand. Our understanding of statements must be very much psychological, and we must understand it comprehensively, right? Right? Still needs rupees 2 for buying the tickets. It means it is still the A money is carrying is less than. Here it is equal to just enough, it is less than. Now using these signs these expressions, which brings very much clarity in my understanding of the amount the statement is referring to and the A has having. So this psychological underpinning is very much required for solving the questions in mathematics, right? Statement 3. After buying the 2 tickets, A will be left with. It means it is surplus. A has more money. A has equal money after this action is taken. A has less money after this action is taken. A has more money. A has more money after this action is taken. More money to buy the tickets. That is in comparison to buying 2 tickets. The money A now has is still not sufficient. So, still needs and still not sufficient. These are the two very much close. close words is still not sufficient. So you must be able to differentiate, even though if it is the correct answer or not the correct answer. Here we are trying to understand all the important skills which are required for solving CSAT questions, the fundamentals required for the CSAT questions. We understood the fundamentals of the percentages. Now we are understanding the skills required for solving the percentages questions. You need to identify, interpret these statements given in the question, the information given in the questions in terms of the written statements, right? Right. So here it still needs rupees 2 for buying the tickets. The money A now has is still not sufficient to buy 2 tickets. So let's understand. A still needs rupees 2. The money A now has is still not sufficient to buy 2 tickets. Here the exact figure of rupees 2 is given. Here no exact figure is given. Here you need to rupees 2 more. You are actually less than for the fare of the 2 tickets, short of rupees 2. But here whatever money the A has is not sufficient to buy 2 tickets. It means that the price of the 2 tickets is much more than that, and it is not sufficient. So you must be able to differentiate between, here the price is given that it is short of that amount, you need rupees 2. Here the money A now has is still not sufficient. Here the price is not mentioned. That how much price you are required. So let's now understand what is the price of 2 tickets. So A has rupees 10, which is 80%. Let P be the price of 2 tickets, and 80% of that, 0.8 is equal to 10. So P is equal to 100 upon 8. That comes out to be 1. That comes out to be 12.5. So the price of 2 tickets is equal to 12.5 here, and now A has rupees 13. So it means that A has more money than the price required for buying 2 tickets. So where we saw that more money, that is the case, the statement 3. How much the difference is that here it is mentioned 50 paisa. So 13 minus 12.5 comes out to be 50 paisa, right? So C is the correct answer. Here you might be observing that it is taking too much time to solve the questions, which is very easy. But here in class we are actually focusing on developing skills. Skills requires time, and skill requires practice. So your practice of more number of questions, exposure to the more keywords and their meanings will help you in practicing for the which is not seen, which is unseen, because what comes out to be the next year you don't know. But when you have developing so much of a skills, it is possible that you might be able to understand the keywords which you might not have come across but able to decipher. So this is the objective of this practice, right? So let's see another question. A gardener increased the area a gardener increased the area of his rectangular of his rectangular garden by increasing its length by 40% and decreasing its width decreasing its width by 20%. The area of the new garden. The area of the new garden. Statement 1 has increased by 20%, has increased by 12%, has increased by 8%, is exactly the same as the old area. Is exactly the same as old area. So we will apply these skills which we will identify. We will see what are those skills. Right. So we will see that the skills we have learned in the previous questions, we will also applying those skills in these questions, and we will see the application of the fundamentals of the percentages, right? So let's read the question carefully. Developing the habit of reading the question is very important aspect of UPSC. If you do not read the question, you will be missing the demand, you will be missing the right logic to calculate the answer of the question, right? A gardener has increased the area of his rectangular garden up to here. It is very straightforward. There is a gardener increased the area of his rectangular garden. So there was a garden, a rectangular shape, a rectangular, possibly not, this is not rectangular, this is rectangular, its area has increased, right? By increasing, a gardener increased the area of his rectangular garden by increasing its length. अब ये देखिए is exactly the same as old area. अब क्वेश्चन के अंदर दे रहा है कि इंक्रीज द एरिया ऑफ इज रेक्टेंगुलर, उसमें क्वेश्चन में बोल ही रहा है कि एरिया इंक्रीज कर दिया है, बट फोर्थ स्टेटमेंट इज एग्जैक्टली द सेम एज ओल्ड एरिया. सो वी विल never cancel out any option just by reading the question. We have to come to the conclusion. These are the four conclusions, basically four conclusions, right? These are basically four conclusions, right? We have to identify which is the valid conclusion, which is the logical conclusion, and that can be done when we identify the facts and interpret the information given in the question. We have to we have to come to the correct conclusion by solving the questions, not just by reading the question. So please avoid this habit of just cancelling out the option just by looking at that. Okay, that will be fine if you have lot of experience and you have solved such types of questions, then you can do this. But if the question is not of the type that you have been practicing throughout your preparation, and it comes out to be slightly different, so it will become very difficult for you to come to that conclusion. So be prepared, be mindful of such tactics which might be used by the UPSC to make you to create an illusion, so that you come to the wrong choice. So if you have intelligence, if you're competitive, you have practiced a lot, so you will be coming to the right conclusion. But UPSC wants that you come to the conclusion through the logical understanding, not the just assumptions that if I read this first line, so it is directly in contradiction to the fourth statement, that is fourth conclusion, right? Area has increased the area of his garden by what? By changing its length, by increasing its length by 40%. Initial length changed to L1. There is an increase of 40%. So it comes out to be that L is equal to, L is now 1.4 L. So the length of the area has been now 1.4 L, and decreasing its width by 20%. Is width, this is the length and this is width or breadth, is decreased, that is by 20%. It means it is 0.8 of original length, right? So the area of rectangle, we know that is length into width. This is area 1, initial. Now area after changing the dimensions is A2, that is 1.4 L multiplied by 0.8 W. That's come out to be, that comes out to be 1.12 LW, right? 1.12 LW. This is the final area. This is the final area. This was the initial area. Now we have to see that the area of new garden is increased or decreased. So what we will see, the increase will be done by subtracting A2 minus A1. A2 minus A1, right? If this is equal to 100%, if this is equal to 100%, now we have to see that 1.12 LW. So 1.12 is added. If LW is equal to 100%, so how much will be this, right? How much will be this? So we will see that this is 1 LW is equal to 100% and this is 100%. So can we write it as initially 100%. So 0.1 is equal to 0.1 of 0.1 of LW. See, just see that. Let's do it on right. Now we have more space, right. See, LW is equal to 100%. This is, if you multiply by 1, so it will be LW only, right? It will be LW only. Now we will see that 1 LW is equal to 100%. So 0.1 LW is equal to 10%. What I did, I divided both sides by the 10. Both sides are divided by the 10 because we need in decimals. So here 2 decimals are there, right? So 0.0101 LW is equal to 1%, right? If you multiply by 12 on both sides, so this comes out to be 0.12 LW. This is 12%. Now this is 1. Multiply 1 into LW is equal to LW only. So 1 LW plus 0.12 LW is equal to 1.12 LW. So 1 LW plus 0.12 LW. So here it is 100%, here it is 12%, equals to 100% plus 12%. And this is equal to 1.12 LW, that is 112%. This is the way fundamentally we have solved this question. Otherwise it can be done very easily. If I have just seen that only 1.12, it means that 12% is added. That is based on practice, that is based on observation, that you can find the answer here itself only. But I wanted to show you that how to calculate it fundamentally, so that any type of question is coming, you are able to solve it. So that if you give 4 to 5 minutes, your time is wasted 2 to 1 or 2 minutes, you must be able to get the outcome. You must be able to get the result of it, right? So here the correct answer is that increased by 12% is correct answer. Right? This is the correct way of solving the question that you use fundamentals. Fundamentals are used and the answer is found to the most accurate. Understanding the demand of the questions led to the development of the exact interpretation. And then solving it using fundamentals. Interpretation, this is here, it is interpretation, here it is fundamentally solved. Right? So this was the another type of question which has been there in UPSC. Questions are framed differently, but the same fundamental is used, same skills are required. Right? Let's do another question. Candidates in a competitive examination consisted of 60% men and 40% women. 70% man, 70% man and 75% women. Cleared the qualifying test. Qualifying test and entered the final test. Where 80% man and 70% women were successful Which of the following statements is correct? Which of the following statements is correct? Statement 1. Success rate is higher for women. Statement 2. Overall success rate in is below 50%. More men cleared the examination than women. Statement 4. Both 1 and 2 are correct. Both 1 and 2 are correct. This is another type of question based on percentages. Difficult to interpret but easy to solve it. It's not a very difficult question, right? Because the statements are like that, you have to be very conscious of the demand of the question. Let's read the questions based on the skills which we have learnt and decipher the given information in the question and bring it to our intelligence, our understanding, so that we solve it as per the required statement. Here, the question has to be tested against 4 statements. It means that you need 4 types of data. If you find that first is correct, because one option is only correct, so you do not need to verify against 3 statements. So, whatever data is coming, which of the following statements is correct? So, it may be here 1 and 2 both are correct if both statements are correct. So, here you have to interpret the question or infer the question and find out the conclusions and then verify with the statements given in the question, right? So, let's first interpret the question. Let's read it. Candidates in a competitive examination consisted of this. This is a very straightforward statement. Very straightforward. Very straightforward. There is a competitive examination like UPSC. So, in that, men are 60% and women are 40% of total, right? Total combined population, combined numbers of men and women, out of which man carries 60% weight, women carries 40% weight, right? Straightforward. 70% man and 75% women cleared the qualifying test and entered the final test, where 70 and 80% were successful, right? So, from up to here, it is very straightforward. Not very difficult to interpret. Not very difficult. But from here, it wants you to interpret, decipher, bring this expression into mathematical expression, because 70% man and 75% women cleared the qualifying test and entered the final test. Into the final test where 80% men and 70% women were successful. Success rate is higher for women. Overall success rate is this. Here it is average. More men cleared the examination than women. So let's assume that both men and women, both men plus women is equal to P. Total number is P. So men is equal to 0.6 P and women is equal to 0.4 P, right? Now let's minimize it. right? So that we have space, right? From here, it is the interpretive. Now we see that 70% men and 75% women cleared the qualifying test. 70% of what? 75% of what? This figure which we have calculated here, right? So how many qualified become qualifying? How many become qualifying? जो क्वालिफाइंग टेस्ट था कितने लोगों ने पार कितने किया, मैन और वीमेन ने? मैन इज इक्वल टू पॉइंट मैन इज इक्वल टू 70% is 0.7 of 0.6p and women is equal to 0.75 of 0.4p. So of 75% of this women, 70% of these women qualifying, cleared the qualifying test. They cleared the qualifying test. Now, after this qualifying test, they reached to the final test. So, of this number, how many cleared the final test? 80% men and 70% women. So 80% of this, men qualified the final test, 80%, that is 0.8 multiplied by 0.7 multiplied by 0.6 of p. Women, that is 70%, 0.7 multiplied by 0.75 multiplied by 0.4 of p. So I am converting these numbers 70, 80. I can write 80% as 0.8, right? So this is the figure I am using here. I converted all these percentages into points, right? It is same as it is because 80% is equal to 80 multiplied by 1 upon 100. So this comes out to be 0.8. Similarly for other percentages, right? Now we have to calculate these figures in numbers. So male is equal to 56. 56 multiplied by 8 7s are 56 multiplied by 6. 36, 3, 30, 33. So this comes out to be 0.336p. Female is equal to 28. 28 into 75. 40. 14. 19. 0. 0. 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Point. That is 0.21 of P. So clearly we can see that both more men cleared the examination than women. That is a true statement. That is a true statement. We can easily see that more number of men cleared the final test than the female or the women. It is very obvious By just calculating this, coming to these figures, we can conclude statement 3. Option 3 given in the question. Do we need to solve this further, because already we got one answer, and in question 4, 3 is not given as it is. So we can calculate the success rate of women. We can calculate the success rates of average. So how we will calculate the success rate of women? Out of total women, that is 0.4 P, only 0.21 P qualified. So P से P cancelled out. So 0.21 divided by 0.4. This number can be calculated easily. That will be the success rate of women. So here we have to calculate the success rate for both male as well. 0.336 P divided by 0.6 P. So here values can be calculated and it can be compared for the answer to the first statement. Second statement, the average of both will be taken up. If it is 50% or above that. So this can also be verified. So these are the 3 statements which we have to be tested against the demand of the questions. The question has to be tested against these 3 statements, because 4 is itself that is carrying that 1 and 2. It is referring to 1 and 2 only. Right? So this way you can easily solve such questions. Just the application of the percentage is not a big task, right? Not that much difficult. Right? So option 3 is correct. Easily from here can be found that more men cleared the examination than the women. More men cleared the examination than the women. Right? So this is we did the application part. We will practice more number of questions, and you can more number of questions can be practiced over here. These are all previous year's questions, and you will see that this is the standard of the question that UPSC is asking. So how you have to interpret the questions? First read the questions, where the information is given, you have to interpret it. Interpretation and the conclusion based on the interpretation has to be verified against the statement. This is the how these skills which are required for the solving such questions. Right? Right. Let's see more number of questions. So my focus is to develop the basic mathematical understanding, which is very much required, because most of the students are from various non-mathematical backgrounds, or they have studied mathematics up to class 10th only. So beyond that, in 11th, 12th and colleges, so they are not having that much uh, backing of mathematical fundamentals. So here we are solving the questions in a way that anybody can understand, even from the backgrounds of the humanities they have come from. They can also, through my classes, develop these mathematical fundamentals, which is not that very much difficult. The only challenge for you is to do practice, because understanding can be developed over here through the classes, through the solving of previous year's questions. But out of that, you have to make efforts to do lot of practice. That is very much required from your part, right? Not many queries are coming from you people. You've been watching videos, that I can see that, yes, you are watching. But queries shall be there at the same time. Sure. So for today, that is all that we have discussed. Few questions, practice few questions. Again, tomorrow we will practice more number of questions. In CSAT, you need more practice. Concepts are not that much difficult, but more practice is required, that you do a lot of practice. I will also provide you practice test paper, which you can download it from your portal. You have you can search in your course. There the notes for the practice will be available. The concepts fundamentals will be available, that you can take it from there. So all the resources you can access through our mobile application, or you through the web portal. So both ways you can access it, right? So thank you for today. I will see you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye bye.